is Swansea's unbelievable 2-0 win away at Chelsea.
You just wouldn't have seen it coming, would you? Swansea winning 2-0 at Chelsea, just mind blown.
You say that, Neil, but I think things are looking dicey at Chelsea at the moment. I think this poor old Rafa's walked into a bit of a perfect storm at Stamford Bridge at the moment. The fans didn't want him in the first place. They're talking about some of the legends of the club leaving. There's very, very indifferent form on the pitch. So it's all combined to make a very, very poisonous atmosphere at Chelsea. I think it's going to be a hard place for those guys to go out and play, and as it proved last night. Admittedly, they were slightly unlucky. Swansea had one chance in the first half. Michu buried it. What a goal that was, by the way. Unbelievable.
And that's the thing, when things are going against you, Robin, they were the better side last night, Chelsea, for all intents and purposes, apart from the goals. So you come off and take the result away. Benitez has done everything he can do. It's 2 individual errors.
Of course, I think Chelsea will look and be disappointed at the result. I think with a collection of world-class players and Champions League winners in their side, I don't think they will be fazed going to Liberty Stadium 2-0 down. I think, of course, there probably are some shenanigans behind the scenes that we don't know about. However, they're paid a very large sum of money to perform week in, week out, and I think the odds will be with them.
What about Neil? You fancy Chelsea can get something there?
Difficult place to go, as I think Robin said. I think that Swansea are capable of catching them on the break. They've got a lot of quick players like Dyer. Michu has got to be worth a goal whenever he plays. So it's one of those that are really up in the air. I think if Chelsea score in the first 10, 15 minutes, well, then they've got a little bit of momentum. But I think the longer that it goes on, probably the more frustrated that they'll get, and probably the more the Swansea crowd will get behind their team and will try and roar them home.
Do you think Chelsea can use Benitez as a bit of an excuse? Because he has been doing really well. They've scored goals. Torres started scoring goals. He draws a blank. And then all of a sudden, Bale comes in. He's the next greatest thing.
I think a lot of the Chelsea fans were disappointed that Bale didn't start last night. I think they saw that as a bit of a line in the sand. Perhaps we can start forgetting about Torres and looking towards perhaps a new hero at Stamford Bridge. And when he didn't start, I think I've spoken to a couple of people at Stamford Bridge last night. That's when the rumblings started on the terraces, if you like. So, I just don't think Chelsea fans are feeling it at all. And is Benitez an excuse? It's a difficult one. He's a good top-grade manager. And I think if you look away from the history that Benitez has got with Chelsea, there's no reason he shouldn't be doing a good job for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing with Robin. It's been Torres all season, up there on his own. All of a sudden, they do get him some help in the shape of Bale. And no one's thinking, oh, that's great, because we're going to have a fresh Torres, because already Bale can't play in the Europa League. And so Torres is going to be all right in that. And Benitez is definitely going to go for any sort of medals or honours that he can get, because it goes on his resume.
I think people are quick to have a snap at Chelsea now they've lost 2-0. I think Torres has been flying recently. How many goals has he scored since Benitez has come in? He's looked exceptionally lively. Demba Ba, a world-class player at $7.5 million.
It's a snip. It is an unbelievable value by that.
Yeah, it's a great piece of business, especially as they sold Sturridge, a guy that they won't get in the game, and they've sold him for what, 12.5 million?
Yeah, it's good business. I mean, you're getting $5 million effectively in the bank, and a player who you're going to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we'd all settle for that every day of the week, but it doesn't happen that way as often as it should.
I think it's Newcastle who are the real losers, losing Bath for that amount of money. It could be that they only got him in the first place with that clause inserted. So, but Robin's saying that people are having a go at Chelsea. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's the Chelsea supporters who are the most upset. Chelsea is still playing some decent football. I think most football sort of watchers can see that. Whether anyone's got much sympathy for their plight, I'm not really sure. As a humble Watford fan, I'm not massively bothered if they're going to struggle. But
I did sense that, funnily enough. I did see there wasn't much love.
I'm trying to stay impartial here, Flash. Yeah. But I think they're playing decent football, and I personally would like to see Torres back as the Torres we know, because as football supporters, as sports fans, we want to see these athletes performing at the peak of their ability. We know it's in there somewhere. It's just unlocking it, and I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, they brought it on themselves, actually. I think that if you look at it, Di Matteo, we won the Champions League in, May last year. Come October this year, he suddenly wasn't doing the business, and Bosch is out the door. And, but let's face it, the problems haven't gone away, without him. So I think that Chelsea fans, they didn't want Benitez in the first place, and that they haven't really got behind him. And Abramovich has probably caused all of this.
I think they find themselves in quite a difficult situation because Abramovich has made these snap decisions. He feels like he almost does it on a whim. I'm sure there's more behind it than that. But the
Probably
Chelsea
isn't.
supporters have kind of got used to that, and invariably it's ended in success. You talk about Di Matteo coming in, he rescued their season, and all of a sudden they're champions of Europe. This time he's brought someone in, he's made a snap decision, he's gone for it, kicked out Di Matteo, who is a Chelsea legend. You can tell that by 16 minutes they're up there clapping, they're chanting his name. They're not going to do that for just anyone. And not only has he kicked out a legend, he's brought in someone they really don't like.
Yeah, we're going to go on in part 2 and have a little chat with a couple of Chelsea fans about Benitez. But let's be fair and let's be balanced. We're talking Swansea, who 2 seasons ago were in the Championship, and now they've obviously lost their manager, who's gone to Liverpool. Laudrup comes in. I mean, I thought that they would struggle this year, second season syndrome in the Premiership. They've been frighteningly good.
Yeah, but I think they might have struggled if they hadn't have picked up Michu for an absolute bargain fee. I think they paid, what, £2.5–3 million pounds for him. And we're talking about Daniel Sturridge going for 12 million quid. A guy who doesn't score half as many goals as this guy, Michu, and there'll be teams in Spain that will be absolutely incredulous that they've actually not pick this guy up, because he's come over here and he's been the revelation of the season. Yeah,
but the whole team seems to be playing better than they were last year. I mean, they got rid of Sinclair, went for 6 or 7 million to Man City. Great business. And getting 15 million for Joe Allen, by the way, that has got to be the best business I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years of football. Maybe apart from the 35 million for Carroll.
I think it's been a really nice evolution, if you like, at Swansea. It started almost back in the days when Kenny Jackett was there, and they climb up through the divisions, and then more recently obviously you had Brendan Rodgers, who got them playing a decent brand of football. And there was, like you say, Flash, there was big concern about whether Laudrup could come in and keep them on that level, never mind take them up a notch, and he has done that. And I think, like Neil says, bringing in Michu, what a result. That's a 1 in a million transfer. And then you've got people like Danny Graham, who can come in off the bench, who will work hard for you up front, and he'll make it stick up top. He'll score, he'll chip in like he did last night.
It's easy to say they're an exceptionally underrated team, but they've actually got some fantastically gifted footballers in that team. Like, De Guzman, who's been playing for Villarreal, Chico Flores, the centre-half, and of course Michu. They're very talented football players.
And the keeper as well is outstanding.
Yeah,
but I mean, let's go back to just Danny Graham, because it was only 3 or 4 years ago that Danny Graham was playing in like the 3rd division or the 3rd tier of English football at Carlisle. And then all of a sudden he goes to Watford, he does well at Watford. So anybody that's playing in them lower leagues, if they just apply themselves the right way, they keep at it. Because he was actually released as a kid from Middlesbrough, Danny Graham, and now he seems better than ever.
I think he's an excellent example of put the effort in and you'll get your just rewards. He did go a long time at Carlisle. He had a dry spell at Carlisle, I know, which is why I think Watford got him. Why a club better than Watford.
£500,000 there to shell out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he had a dry spell at Watford, but what he didn't do, he never hid. He worked and worked and worked. He looked for the ball and he looked for that goal, and eventually he came good with it, paid dividends for Watford and paid dividends for himself personally.
Yeah, the big thing for me with Danny Graham and so far with Swansea is because Michu's been grabbing all the headlines and all the pitch time. And I mean, you'll be able to relate to this, Robin, that he hasn't played many games or had many minutes this year. And last night was his 4th goal in the last 4 appearances. So it's so important to stay positive, keep yourself right, so that when your chance does come, you can actually grab it with both hands.
Of course, preparation is vital. You know that yourself as a goal scorer. I think the modern day professional footballer has to look above their own self-interest, because ultimately if they do that, then they are only going to serve themselves of better benefit when they get their time on the pitch.